All right, everyone, welcome back. And I'm just gonna say we need to talk because there's this thing happening right now, and I'm recording this on July 24th to be released tomorrow. And that this world of news stories, and it's not a coincidence, it's not random, and it's sure as hell is not a bad timing. Like the distraction campaign going on by the Orange Man dictator in chief. It's like it's a firehouse of nonsense meant to keep you dizzy and to keep you from looking too close at the real story. So today we're going to again the off the record. No, like there's gonna be not much of a segments kind of thing, but like no format and stuff. Just truth. We go talk about because like we're gonna talk about the Epstein files and other stuff because when the Epstein files start coming back into the headlines, gosh, it's just getting better by the minute too. When it's confirmed that Trump's own legal team told him back in May that his name is in those files, and now suddenly he's suing news outlets and denying everything. He's saying that's a nothing burger, that's a full course distraction dinner with sides, dessert, and press conference. And guess what's on the menu? Late night talk shows disappearing. Cartoons like South Park mocking him. Oklahoma becoming, and Oklahoma is not from Epstein files. It's just part of the outcome of Trumpism. But I just say Oklahoma is becoming a failed experiment in public education. All while Trump's screaming about immigrants, blaming liberals from everything, and selling "I'm innocent" shirts on Truth Social. And that's the craziest part. He's blaming former President Obama. Like, Jesus, dude. All right, so let's start with this. It's like back in May, according to multiple reports, and especially from the Wall Street Journal, it's like there's our credible outlets, ABC News 2, Time Magazine. Trump was formally briefed that his name showed up multiple times in the unsealed Epstein files. They told him, Pam Bundy told him, the White House did not deny it. Now let me ask you something. If your name was in the files in one of the largest international child sex trafficking investigations in modern history, and your team knew, wouldn't you want to get in front of it? Like, because Trump didn't. Instead, he kept quiet and kind of quiet. And now that the House committee is demanding the full files, including Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony, Trump's response is to sue, deny, and deflect. And here's the kicker. The Department of Justice is still withholding parts of the file, citing, and I quote, child pornography concerns and ongoing victim privacy. So we don't know everything yet, but we know enough. So we know that Trump flew the Epstein's jet. We know he partied with him in Palm Beach. We know there's photos, letters, and yes, I don't say allegations, but it's like, if you have a board of all the testimony, and the testimonies from the victims, and I cannot believe that people are ignoring the testimonies of the actual victims that say that Trump was there. Even Epstein told Trump after there was a young woman, or I think it was underage. It's like, no, that's not for you. Like, come on. Alright, anyways, but here's where it gets more infuriating. Instead of talking about that, we're over here dealing with the culture war nonsense. And I'm not saying like Stephen Colbert is some kind of hero, but come on. Within a week of mocking Paramount's $16 million Trump settlement, CBS decides his show is ending next year. They say it's a budget thing. Sure, kind of, maybe. But let's not play dumb. Colbert called out Trump's lies. He refused to let Epstein connections die quietly. And now with one little press release, CBS is folding that tent. And he was the number one ranked show in Late Show. So it's not about ratings, of course. So, but thankfully, not everyone's afraid. South Park, and yeah, I know it's people might not care about that. It's like, but man, what South Park comes for you, they do it with scorched earth. I mean, they go for the jugular. These guys, it's like in the season 27 premiere, they literally show Trump in bed with Satan, mocking the Epstein connection, mocking the lawsuit, mocking the cowardice of these media companies. And Trump's response, they call South Park irrelevant. As a desperation that their show's not relevant. Yeah, okay, whatever you say, dude. It's like that's rich coming from a man who's still renting on social media aside with fewer users than Pinterest. And he claims that his show, The Apprentice, was the biggest thing ever. Like, no, motherfucker, your show sucked. Now, look, I could rant about Trump all day. But while all this mess is flooding the headlines, something way more dangerous is happening in my own backyard, and maybe yours too. Let's talk about my favorite person, sarcastically, Ryan Walters. This man is turning Oklahoma into the blueprint of failure. This man, he is a piece of shit who is a culture war bigot. He's cutting public school funding, attacking teachers, banning books, and now get this, he's pushing a virtual charter academy run by a private company that's already facing accreditation issues in other states. Like, this isn't a pilot program. It's a disaster we already saw crash in Arizona. And instead of learning from that failure, Ryan Walters decided, hey, let's do it worse. And what's the result? Here we go. 47th in 4th grade reading, 48th in 8th grade reading, 45th in 8th grade math, 50th in teacher pay. Dead last. We are dead last in education. But hey, at least we got online Jesus school, right? You ever notice how the same people screaming, save the children, don't seem to care if your kid can read? Like, as a teacher, I gotta say, I'm fucking tired of this guy. I'm tired of being told that I'm the problem. I'm tired of watching politicians cut funding, vilify my profession, and then point at test scores like it's our fault. Like, Ryan Walters isn't trying to save education. He's trying to privatize it, and he's trying to turn your kid's future into a revenue stream for right-wing donors and charter school CEOs. And no one's paying attention because Trump said something stupid again. Because Colbert got canceled. Because South Park made a joke. Because the news cycle has the attention span of a goldfish in a blender. Now, here's the deal. This episode isn't just as a vent session. It's a wake-up call. You're being played. We're being distracted. The real stories are buried under outrage bait and cheap headlines. Don't fall for it. This isn't just about Epstein or Colbert or Oklahoma. It's about people pulling the strings, the ones who know they can keep stealing, keep failing, and keep harming kids, as long as we're too busy yelling about cartoons and comedians to notice. So stay with me, because if we're about to peel back the curtain, all of this is going to be interesting for y'all. So let's go there. Maybe this is the part that you wanted to click for my episode, because right now Jeffrey Epstein is all over the news, and I understand why. Because the Republican Party ran on this thing about like release the Epstein files. Even J.D. Vance, the vice president, said on the Theo Vaughn podcast, like, yeah, we seriously need to release those Epstein files. And now that we know that Trump has been on those files multiple times, they are running, they're hiding, the Republican Party is covering for a pedophile. Anyways, so why are we talking about this? Like, it should be in every headline, every network. It kind of is, but it's not. Of course, especially on the right-wing media. Like, Fox News is doing the opposite. They're not talking about anything about this because they're a bunch of propagandists. Alright, so why is this not... I don't want to say it's not as a major news, but why are we not pushing for actual impeachment now? Or why is there a cover-up? Here we go. Because it involves Donald Trump, the current fucking president. It involves Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I know some of you maybe are thinking, it's like, oh, I thought that story was done. Epstein's dead. Max was locked up. Case closed. No, guys, it's not even close. That's what Trump wants you to think. Because of May of this year, after the Wall Street Journal dropped another bomb after last week's drop bomb, President Trump was formally briefed by his own Attorney General, Pam Bundy, that his name appears multiple times in the Department of Justice internal Epstein files. And what is he doing about it? Well, of course, he's trying to deflect, not explaining. He's saying, like, are you all still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? I didn't even know the guy. It's like, he's a creep. It's like, He's doing what he always does: distracting, denying, suing, and spinning. And we're going to walk through every piece of it. So here's what we know. Back in May 2025, there was a closed-door briefing between Pam Bondi and President Trump. Sorry, I can't say president. Dictator-in-chief Trump. Multiple outlets, Wall Street Journals, Reuters, ABC News, The Guardian, all confirmed it. During that meeting, Bondi told the president that his name shows up more than once in the unsealed internal files related to Epstein. That includes call logs, private correspondence, travel manifests, all part of the massive trove of DOJ records tied to one of the most infamous sex trafficking networks of our time. Now, ask yourself, if you were the president of the United States and your name was connected to that investigation, wouldn't the public deserve an explanation? Instead, what we got was, again, or even if your name was implied to this, wouldn't you wouldn't try to explain yourself or something? No, he's trying to distract, and it's a campaign of distraction all the time. And every time he distracts, it makes it more obvious that he is guilty. Let's break it down again. The quick timeline, so we're clear. May 2025, Trump is briefed by AG Pam Bondi. June, quiet chaos inside DOJ, no formal statement, and internal battles between the deputy of the FBI, what's his name? Not Kash Patel, but Bengino. He's against it, what Trump is doing, and he doesn't show up to work. And he's considering resignation. Now, early July, DOJ confirms it will not release further Epstein-related documents to the public, citing child pornography risk and victim protection. That is so rich coming from the Republican Party, who are notorious for hiding child rapists. Mid-July, reports surfaced that Ghislaine Maxwell met with DOJ officials under armed guard in, was it Florida? Yeah, I think so, it was Florida. She reportedly provided helpful testimony. And right after that, boom, Trump files a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal for $15 billion to Rupert Murdoch and News Corp for reporting the birthday letter he allegedly wrote to Epstein, which I'm not saying allegedly anymore. He did it. We all know that. Then after that, Stephen Colbert's show is canceled at CBS just days after he mocks Paramount's Trump settlement of $16 million. Stephen Colbert mocked them for bending the knee, which they did. And then just yesterday, South Park premieres an episode with Trump literally in bed with Satan, roasting him for the Epstein connection and his little tiny penis. It's not a coincidence, guys. It's like, this isn't damage control. It's like, this is classic Trump crisis management. Use power to distract, sue the messenger, bury the story. And let's go back to the letter for a minute. According to the Wall Street Journal, the DOJ uncovered a birthday letter written by Trump to Epstein. And you probably have heard this multiple times by now. It's like a handwritten, cordial, and deeply personal. And it's like, enigmas never age. Now, I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories. I like cold hard facts. But when he says enigmas never change, and that we know that Epstein is a child rapist, and someone said that enigma could be an anagram for anima or something like that means young girls. Oh my god, come on, like, whew. Anyways, so what did Trump say about this? Trump says it's fake. His lawsuit claims defamation. But here's what's wild. He never denies knowing Jeffrey Epstein. Never denies being at the parties. Never denies being on the flight logs. Just call it bogus and sues the press. And yo, that's the pattern. And this is the same man who said back in 2002, "I know Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side." Like, that's not some internet rumor. That's Trump on the record. What it was when it was convenient for him. And he has anyways. Now let's talk about the DOJ. Despite public pressure, there is stonewalling. They have refused to release the rest of the Epstein materials. They say they're protecting victims. And sure, I get that. Like, I get victims should be protected, but victims' names are already redacted. So what's left? Who's exactly are they protecting? Because let me tell you something. It's not the kids. It's the powerful. It's the well-connected. It's the people who have dinner with billionaires and jetted off to private islands. And when the president of the United States is one of the people naming those files, we got a fucking problem. Meanwhile, Congress is actually doing something. And they're finally doing something for once. Like last week, I think it was just recently, the House Oversight Committee voted 8-2. Yes, even some Republicans to subpoena all Epstein-related DOJ records to bring Ghislaine Maxwell in for an official deposition. And let's not sleep on that, because according to the new leaks, Ghislaine met with Deputy AG Todd Blanche on July 19, and she's already spilled some names. Enough said, nobody's saying which ones, but if the DOJ is scrambling and Trump is luring up, you can bet something stuck. And don't forget, this is a sitting president we're talking about. The man who is signing executive orders right now, the man who holds the nuclear codes, the man who's trying to silence the story while the rest of the government scrambles to contain the fallout. Now, here's the part that gets me. Trump's base, his loudest defenders, are starting to flinch. Like, you got Bannon talking in code, you got Rogan asking questions, even fucking Tucker Carlson, who practically worship and suck his dick, is putting out of these shady little monologues about elites hiding in plain sight. And yeah, some of that is so performative, but it also means the armor is cracking. Because the truth is, the average voter, even the average MAGA voter, draws the line at child trafficking. And if Trump is caught up in this mess, not the rumor, not the innuendo, but in official DOJ records, that's the whole new ball game. So here's the question I keep coming back to. Why now? Why is all of this hitting in July? Why is the DOJ getting cagey? Why is Congress suddenly moving? Why is Trump melting down in real time? I'll tell you why. Because this time, it's real. This time, the receipts are in writing. And this time, Trump is sitting in the Oval Office while the wolves are closing in. And you better believe he's going to do everything he can to keep us distracted. He is a caged animal right now. He's doing his best to survive right now. He knows he could be arrested at any moment. Look, I know this is a lot. This is heavy. But I need you all to hear me when I said, this isn't just about politics. It's about justice. It's about accountability. It's about the most powerful man in the world possibly being part of one of the darkest scandals in American history. And instead of stepping aside or opening the records or cooperating, he's suing newspapers and firing prosecutors. That's not how innocent people act. That's not how presidents act. That's how abusers act. That's how guilty people act. That's how you act when you think power will protect you. So yeah, this story is messy. And yeah, it's going to get uglier before it gets clear. But we're going to stay on it, because the moment we stop paying attention, the moment we let the circus win, that's the moment the truth gets buried for good. And here's the other part, because right now Congress went on an early summer vacation. So because Mike Johnson is trying to stop and cover up for Donald Trump. He's trying to make sure that we have 6 weeks that people don't forget. We have 6 weeks that people forget about Epstein. And I don't think that this time it happens. I don't think people will forget, because we can't have a child trafficker and a child rapist in the office, guys. Like, he's a terrible human being and racist and all that. But at least, come on, we can all agree that, like, child trafficking is a big no-no. Sadly, there's people defending him, but you know. All right. Anyways, we're gonna stop here in this for now. I'm hoping that this news gets a little more development, but I just think that Maxwell, if she's seriously going to cooperate, someone needs to protect her. Like, don't let any Republican in that room, because those people are dangerous. Anyways, let's move on from this for a second, and let's talk about Oklahoma for a minute. Please don't turn off your system. You need to listen to this. Okay, so look, let's shift gears for a minute. I know a lot of national news are happening, and this story might it's not gonna affect everybody, but I need you guys to be aware. Okay? So we spent the last segment talking about the presidential power and the corruption and distraction, right? Now I want to talk about something that hits closer to home for me. That literally it is. We're going to Oklahoma. Yes, I know, flyover state, I get it, but I live here. So please, don't look away. Because while the president is trying to duck and dodge Epstein connections in D.C., Ryan Walters is over here turning Oklahoma into a petri dish for authoritarian education experiments. This dude is not a superintendent. He's a political arsonist. And what he's doing to our schools is not just reckless. It's illegal, unethical, and downright dangerous. So let's start with the Bible, because of course we are. So first off, this genius decided that what our classrooms really need is the Bible. And I don't mean optional reading or cultural context. I mean, he literally tried to mandate that every classroom in Oklahoma teach from the Bible. And he wanted to use $3 million in state money to buy them. Oklahoma is one of the poorest states in the country. $3 million in state money is way too much. And he even said that teachers who didn't comply could face disciplinary actions. Bro, what are we doing here? Like, that's some fascist shit right there. And this is a clear violation of the First Amendment. You cannot use public school money to push one religion. Period. It's all about the founding fathers. But Walters, he doesn't give a shit about that. Because it's never really about faith. It's about he wants control. And he doesn't stop there. He tried to fund a Catholic charter school with taxpayer dollars. The state Supreme Court shut it down and said, nope, you're not going to create the first taxpayer-funded religious school in the country. That's unconstitutional. That's the first time the Supreme Court has done something right. The current Supreme Court. And now, Walters is appealing to the United States Supreme Court, which he lost. Well, I say now, but it's a story. And he lost at the Supreme Court. Like, oh my gosh. Like, then he after his failure at the Bible thing, he went after the immigrants. This man proposed, and he almost did it, that public schools should verify the citizenship or immigration status of not just the students, but their parents too. You hear that? Before your kid can go to class, you gotta show papers. Passport, green card, birth certificate. No documentation, no school. That is a straight up unconstitutional under Plyler versus Doe, a 1982 Supreme Court ruling that says every child has a right to a public education no matter their immigration status. Even our Governor Kevin Stitt, who's not exactly a liberal. He's like a dumbed down version of Trump. He said that this thing went a little too far. Even the state attorneys warned it will open the state up to lawsuits. But Walters, what did he do? He dug in. And don't be fooled. This wasn't about school funding or enrollment. It was a political stunt to stoke fear and push an anti-immigrant agenda. And guess what? Kids are already not showing up to school because their parents are scared. Now, he wants to do another thing. Then there was this curriculum thing. Walters pushed through a rewrite of Oklahoma's high school social studies standards that are so biased, so politically motivated, it makes Texas look progressive. And here's some of what he added. You ready? 1. Encouraging students to investigate suspicious patterns in the 2020 presidential election. You know, like the fake claims about ballot dumps. Yeah, that stuff. He wants to make it like that Trump was right and it was stolen. Yeah, that stuff. Removing any mention of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, or modern racial injustice movements. Then, 3. Promoting biblical references as national pride or cornerstone of American education. And 4. And turning social studies into a subtle form of indoctrination. He called it a win for parental rights, but what really is revisionist history wrapped in a red, white, and blue flag. Like, the founding fathers are probably like, I don't know, it was like rolling in their graves, or they want to crawl out and choke this man because he's an idiot. And yeah, here's the worst part. The taxpayers, yeah, we're footing the bill. That rewrite cost Oklahoma over $30 million in new materials and training for fucking propaganda. Now, here's what he gets real authoritarian. If you thought the other ones wasn't, this is where it gets crazy. You disagree with Walters, you push back as a teacher or administrator, he'll come after your accreditation. Because let's ask Tulsa Public Schools. When they didn't immediately implement his rule change, he threatened to strip their entire district's accreditation, basically shut them down. He also called teacher unions a terrorist organization, and he's still doing it to this day. Right now, after he passed, yeah, I'll tell you. And this is not acceleration. He said this publicly. And he pushed for revoking teachers' licenses under vague accusation of critical race theory violations. Even though CRT isn't even taught in K-12 Oklahoma schools. It's a fucking law school class. This man weaponizes his office like a bully with a badge. And you know what else he did? It keeps going, guys. He put Shia Raichik, yeah, the woman behind Lives of TikTok, on the Oklahoma Library Advisory Board. This is someone directly linked to bomb threats at Children's Hospital, and he gave her a seat on the board deciding what books your kids can read. When he was confronted about it, he stood by her, said she was a parent advocate. Not a terrorist advocate, because she's not. She's white. Of course she's not a terrorist. A parent advocate who helped spread disinformation that led to real violence. And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what else will, man. Okay, and before he was a state superintendent, Walters was already playing fast and loose with federal money. During the pandemic, he ran a program called Bridge the Gap, meant to help students with virtual learning tools and supplies. What turns out happened? $1.7 million in that program went to stuff like power tools, flat screen TVs, kitchen appliances, you name it. The FBI had to investigate it. And has he been held accountable? Of course fucking not. He's denies everything. Calls it a coordinated political attack. Who else in this world is doing the same shit? Anyways, sorry, let me keep going. And now, here's the cherry on top for money grabs. Right now, Oklahoma is partnering with American Virtual Academy, a private right-wing online school that is literally on the verge of losing its accreditation in Arizona. It recently got voted 0 to 10, 10 against them, unanimous. They got terrible test scores, massive dropout rates, and zero transparency, and Ryan Walters wants them to serve as a statewide public option. You can't make this stuff up, guys. This is public education being privatized right in front of our faces. It's a money grab, it's a charter scheme, and it's going to leave our most vulnerable kids behind. Here's the craziest part. At this point, over 20 Republican lawmakers in Oklahoma have either called for Walters to resign or for investigation into his behavior. And in a ruby red Oklahoma, 20 Republicans calling for him to resign or for investigations, that's huge. He's under scrutiny for hiding records, campaign finance violations, targeting trans students and families, failing to protect schools after threats, misusing funds. And what does he say? If they want to impeach me, bring it on. Like, this guy isn't trying to lead. He's trying to build a political brand off the backs of teachers, kids, and immigrants. And the sad part, it's working somehow. Because Governor Stitt as well is protecting him. Because he's scared because he appointed Ryan Walters. Anyways. And then the other part that he wanted to do, and he proposed, if you thought that list I just gave up is not terrible enough, here's what other thing he did. He wants to create this American First Education test for any teacher who wants to come to Oklahoma, but anybody who comes from a blue liberal state, such as California, Colorado, New York, you name it. Those are the liberal states. He's forcing these teachers to take a test to say if they are American enough to teach in Oklahoma. Only those states, only the blue states are getting punished for this. For his crazy idea. Like, let me be real here. This isn't just about Oklahoma. This is the National GOP's education playbook. Ryan Walters is just a test pilot. He's the test idiot. If he gets away with this, what do you think's coming to Texas, Florida, Missouri, Tennessee? Like, we've seen this pattern before. Ban the books, attack immigrants, silence teachers, push for privatization, and use for fear to stay in power. And what are the results of all that? Oklahoma is now dead last in education in America. 47th in 4th grade reading, 48th in 8th grade reading, 44th in 4th grade math, 45th in 8th grade math. The kids are not okay. The teachers are not okay. And this man gets a microphone every fucking day. And here's the truth, plain and simple. Ryan Walters doesn't care about education. He cares about power, politics, and punching down. He's willing to sacrifice a generation of students and kids to score likes in social media and land interviews on Fox News. And we can't let him get away with it. Because when education becomes a weapon, everybody loses. Especially the students. Okay, so let's talk about the circus. And you're like thinking, what do you mean by that? I'll tell you why. Because what we got the president's name showing up in the Epstein files, and also what I just mentioned, Oklahoma school system has been hijacked by a wannabe theocrat and dictator. You know what's leading the other headlines right now? Get ready. Stephen Colbert is getting canceled. South Park is roasting Trump in bed with Satan. Fox is spinning it like Hollywood elites are panicking. And Trump is over here acting like a victim because a cartoon hurt his feelings. Oh, what a poor snowflake. He needs a safe space. And this is how they do it. This is a distraction strategy. When the walls start closing in, they don't defend. They deflect. The cowards that they are. And when the news cycles get too hot, they flood it with random noise. So let's walk through the noise, okay? So first, let's talk about Stephen Colbert. Now, my introduction of Stephen Colbert was when he was in the Colbert Report. And that was my introduction of the GOP hypocrisy. Because I know Stephen Colbert was playing this caricature of the Republicans. But then when my dad would watch Fox News later, I would watch the way they acted, and I was like, oh my God. Like, that, it's not an over-the-top thing, it's real. I love my dad, I did. Rest in peace. But Fox News really rot his brain at the end. Yeah. I know, we lived in Kansas, and it was very... At that time, like, everybody voted Republican, and if you were a Democrat, you were considered Satan itself. It was a rough time, man. All right, anyways, so back to Stephen Colbert. Back in July 17, CBS quietly announced that the Late Show with Stephen Colbert is coming to an end in May 2026 when his contract runs out. Now, the official story is the usual media spin. Budget cuts, network restructuring, changing entertainment landscape. Let's be real. This announcement came just days after Colbert called out his own network's parent company, Paramount, for settling a $16 million defamation lawsuit with Donald Trump. And let me tell you what happened on that show. Colbert looked straight into the camera and said something like, apparently, all it takes to bankrupt free speech and Donald Trump's ego in a weak-knee studio executive. Like, next week, boom, cancellation announcement. Now, they say it's not cancellation, it's a planned wind down. But trust me, when your network's flagship late-night host starts biting the hand that feeds him and you already owe Trump millions, you don't call it cancellation. You just cut the mic and hope nobody notices. Now, when people say that I know I put that and I said that. It's because I read that people saying that Colbert bit the hand that fed him. When your boss does something very ethical, illegally, aren't you like the ones we need to call them out? I mean, this is classic taste a case of payback by a boss hurting your career because you told them what the truth was. Anyways, now Stephen Colbert now unleash. Oof, he is killing him. Anyways, now let's go back to the other one. Like, we're just getting started on this. Like, let's enter South Park. Season 27, Episode 1, the premiere, aired July 23, 2025. The title, The Sermon on the Mount. And this one, man, this one was wild. You've got a full-on depiction of Trump, currently sitting president, literally in bed with Satan. Yeah, that was not a metaphor. That was not subtle. They straight up showed Trump cuddling with Satan, gloating about how lawsuits, scandals, and cult-like loyalty make him invincible. You know what's the wildest part? It's not even a stretch. The writers took every talking point, every piece of the public record from Epstein to Colbert to the $16 million defamation settlement and crammed it all in 22 minutes of fire. They had characters literally arguing over whether truth matters anymore. They mocked the idea that the scandal could actually bring Trump down. And in the final scene, like Trump and Satan share a bed in the White House while the town of South Park sues itself into oblivion. And you know what Trump's team did? They responded. Well, it's like what happened at the end was like South Park, like 16 minutes it was showing, and Jesus came up and he's like, "Eat the bread." It's like, you want to end up like Colbert? They're gonna cancel us. Eat the bread. And it's like, but anyways. So, what did the Trump team do? They responded. They put an official statement calling South Park irrelevant, desperate, and perverted liberal propaganda. They said it was an attack on the presidency and a childish attempt to resurrect fallen ratings. But here's the thing. You don't attack something that didn't get to you. And that show hit hard. And he's saying South Park is irrelevant? Okay. Whatever you say, dude. And this is the first time we've seen this playbook. Whenever the walls start to shake, the distractions start to fly everywhere. Think about it. When Mueller was closing in, Trump starts talking about NFL players kneeling. When COVID deaths hit 500,000, he's tweeting about cancel culture. When Epstein files start to circle back in 2023, boom, focus shifts to Biden's son and drag queen story hour. And now, the DOJ tells Trump in May that his name is in the Epstein files. Congress starts to subpoena documents. Ghislaine Maxwell gives a closed-door deposition. And what do we get? Colbert's gone. South Park's under fire. Fox is running segments about the war on comedy. Trump sues the Wall Street Journal. And TikTok algorithm starts flooding us with clips of Biden stumbling in Hunter's laptop again. Like, it's not random. It's a pattern. He is a... Oh, God. Anyway. So let's be real. Because this isn't just a Trump problem. This is also a corporate media problem. Because who owns CBS? Paramount. Who just settled a lawsuit with Trump? Paramount. And what is the cost of the settlement? $16 million. You know what else costs about $16 million a year? The Colbert Show. They didn't cut costs. They cut accountability. And South Park, they are owned by MTV Entertainment Studios, which is also part of Paramount Global. So here's the math. Trump sues Paramount. Paramount settles to avoid discovery. Colbert gets the axe. South Park becomes the scapegoat. Everyone pretends it's all unrelated. You see the picture now? They don't want the truth. They want quiet. And when comedians become the last line of journalism, we are in fucking trouble. And look, I'm not saying Colbert is a martyr or South Park is sacred. But when satire is the only thing holding power accountable, and even that gets squashed, we're in a crisis. We are so far down the distraction rabbit hole that people generally think the real issue right now is whether a cartoon went too far. Like, a cartoon didn't go too far. The president went too far. Walters went too far. The DOJ went too far when they bury Epstein files to protect victims while protecting predators. But we don't get those stories. We get outrage headlines. Colbert mocks fate. South Park crosses the line. Hollywood versus Trump. Comedians hate America. This is coming from the right wing. And you see how fast the media turns the light away from people with power and starts shining on the people asking questions. So what do we do? First, we need to stop falling for it. I know it's hard to say that aloud because, like, if people then stop, like, the mocking of the journalist who was like disabled and everything, that didn't stop them. What thing? Never mind. Anyways, like we need to stop falling for it, but just because it's trending doesn't mean it's urgent. And just because it's viral doesn't mean it's important. The truth is hiding in plain sight. A sitting president named in sex trafficking files. Okay, the second thing, a superintendent forcing religion, censorship, and privatization into public schools. 3, a media machine too scared to speak truth to power because they're financially tied to the same people they should be covering. Like, we need to get sharper. We need to look through the noise. And we need to stop letting rich men with bad haircuts tell us what matters. So yeah, Colbert's leaving. South Park is doing what journalists want. And corporate media is folding under pressure, money, and fear. But if you're here with me, still listening, still paying attention, then you already know the truth. None of this is about comedy. It's about control and distraction in the tool. Distraction is the tool. So keep your eyes open. Keep your focus, because the people who benefit most from your silence are counting on your exhaustion. And we, the people, we don't give them the satisfaction. Here we are, guys. We walked through the wreckage of the Titanic. That's what we did. Like, we dug into the Epstein files. And we're going to keep doing this until Trump is out of office, guys. Anyways, and then we talked about the cover-ups, the lawsuits, the names nobody wants to say out loud. We pulled back the curtain on Ryan Walters and his full-blown assault on education in my home state of Oklahoma. And we unpacked the distraction machine. Colbert, cartoons, outrage bait, all designed to keep you from focusing on what really matters. What I mean by that is that Colbert in South Park were trying to point out that the administration is trying to distract us from the real situation. So now I want you to take a breath with you and ask, where does this leave us? Because if you're like me, if you're paying attention, you probably feel angry. Maybe overwhelmed, maybe even helpless. But let me tell you something. That feeling you got right now, that's proof that you still care. That you haven't gone numb. And that means something. There's a reason why these stories feel so heavy. Why it's easier to scroll past the hard stuff and just laugh at the memes. Because the truth is exhausting. It forces us to admit how deep the rot goes. That's a sitting precedent, not some French figure. It's tied to a sex trafficking network and somehow still controls the most powerful office in the world. Then we have a superintendent that can threaten teachers, rewrite history, target immigrant kids, and call unions terrorists, and still be protected by his party and his donors. And that our media, the ones who used to ask the hard questions, are now more worried about their quarterly earnings than holding anyone accountable. And the worst of all, they made us numb to it. Like, we get scandal fatigue, we get distracted, we get overwhelmed and tune out. Well, here's what I need you to remember. That's their point. They're counting on it. The goal isn't just to silence critics, it's to exhaust them. Because when you're too tired to fight, you're too tired to win. Look at the pattern. Every time power gets close to being challenged, they light a fire somewhere else. A book gets banned. A comedian gets canceled. Something gets viral. Drag queen becomes a scapegoat. A school district gets punished for teaching facts. Trans kids' rights become the national debate while billionaires rob us blind. It's a shell game. They want you looking at the wrong cup. And it works because distraction's easy. It's loud. It's entertaining. It lets you feel like you're participating without even doing the hard work of change. But here's the thing. If we don't start choosing substance over noise, we will lose this fight. Not all at once, not in some dramatic collapse, but slowly and quietly. One censored book at a time, one classroom at a time, one core settlement at a time. Until the truth becomes a memory and accountability becomes a myth. So, I'm a teacher, a veteran, and a citizen, and I'm tired of asking this, but I'm going to ask again. Where is the outrage? Where are the lawmakers demanding answers from the president? Where are the state leaders standing up to Ryan Walters? Where is the media willing to risk their ad revenue to speak the damn truth? And where is Congress? Every single member of Congress who left for vacation this week instead of voting to release the Epstein files, you're a bunch of fucking cowards. Especially you, Mike Johnson, you covering up for a predator, calling yourself a Christian, and you're protecting a child predator. Anyways, like you guys are letting children be trafficked. You let justice be delayed, and you chose for comfort over courage. Shame on you. The American people didn't elect you to take recess while predators hide behind red tape. Listen, I still believe in public education. I still believe in journalism. Hell, I even still believe in democracy. But I stopped pretending that belief alone is enough. Because you can't reform what you're too afraid to confront. You can't protect kids while protecting their abusers. You can't say never again and then look away. You either name the problem or you become part of the fucking problem. So we have to talk about Epstein. We have to talk about Trump. We have to talk about a corrupt superintendents, about censorship, about weaponized media, about cowardly politicians, about the cost of silence. Because if we don't, then the history books that Ryan Walters is rewriting does become reality nationwide, and the lies outlive the truth. Guys, I don't have all the answers, but I know what the first step is. Pay attention, ask questions, push back, speak up, stay loud. Because if we don't speak up for survivors, who will? If we don't defend our classrooms, who will? And if we don't challenge distractions, who will? The people in power are hoping we're too tired to care. Let's prove them wrong. I want you to push and fight harder. Okay? Anyways. Thanks for being here, guys. I really do appreciate it. And thanks for listening and thinking about what's going on. Thanks for staying off the record with me where we say what that needs to be said. And we'll keep going next week. Because this circus never sleeps. But neither do we. Stay loud. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.